This episode is brought to you by Pine Melon. When you order groceries from Pine Melon, you're getting locally sourced items from right here in Colorado. I just ordered my groceries from Pine Melon for the first time and was able to get super creative with my family's weekly menu. This week, we're having bison burgers with antibiotic-free, hormone-free, grass-fed meat from Great Range Bison, and lettuce wraps featuring Gotham greens and Colorado Sun tofu. And if you order from Pine Melon and use promo code CityCastDenver, you'll get $75 off your first delivery. That's promo code CityCastDenver for $75 off your first order at pinemelon.com.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Today on CityCast Denver, we did it. 900 episodes. Producer Paul Karolyi and I are celebrating with a whole bunch of thoughts and comments from you, our dear listeners, from dating stories and ice cream battles to scooter hazards and Paul's worst take yet. Today is Thursday, August 15th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about.
Hey, Bree. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul. How's it going?
Bree, it's a special occasion.
Yeah, what's up?
We have something to celebrate today, and we're going to do it with a mailbag. We're going to listen to a bunch of voicemails, get a bunch of comments that you all have sent in, but the occasion is our 900th episode.
Happened recently.
Technically last week, but we're celebrating today.
I think I asked you this before when we marked another occasion, but have you ever done 900 of anything else?
Oh boy. I mean, visits to Chipotle?
There you go.
Perhaps?
There you go.
How about you?
I honestly could not think of anything that I've done 900 times.
What's the Bernie Mac movie where he's Mr. something? We talked about this at one point.
Did we? Because I do love Bernie Mac.
I know. We have this shared love of Bernie Mac.
True.
Rest in peace. Icon.
Comedic icon. Well,
Mr. 3000. See, Bernie still got it on us. We're not even close.
Well, but what if we want to get to 3,000 episodes? I think that's the big thing is like,
Great segue.
We would love to make 3,000 episodes. We'd love to make 900 more, but you can help us by joining and becoming a member today. So if you sign up to be a member, you get ad-free listening. And as of last week, we started this really cool special members-only email that goes out Monday afternoons, and it gives you a full week of events that we think you might like. So our newsletter editor, Peyton Garcia, puts together this great list of all kinds of things you can do throughout the city for that week. And if you're a member, you get that exclusive list every Monday. But we're doing something extra special today too, Paul.
Yes, because we care about you all. We have a little bit of an extra bonus for anyone who might want to join and become a member. We're giving away a pair of VIP tickets to the Q BBQ Fest that's coming back to Denver this year. Normally they do it at Empower Field, but this year they're doing it at Civic Center Park next weekend, August 23rd and 24th. So it's like Friday night, Saturday during the day. It's beer, it's barbecue, and it's the VIP experience. So the best of the best. And the highlight for me is, I think, going to be this competition where some of Denver's top chefs are facing off in a barbecue contest. So like Troy Gard, Jen Jasinski, our first James Beard winner, Carrie Baird, who runs my favorite brunch spot, the Fox and the Hen on the north side, Bill Epiriqueta, who I'm not familiar with, but I know his place, Smoke, by reputation.
Oh, yeah.
And Jason Ganal of GQ Barbecue. So it's going to be like a whole barbecue contest, and you could be there for it.
And so this is what we're looking for. If you are a member or you join today as a member before Monday morning, you're eligible to win these tickets. And the winner has to be okay, here's what we need from you. We want you to send us the best story about how CityCast Denver or our newsletter, Hey Denver, have connected you better with the city. So I don't know, maybe you met your best friend at an event we recommended, or maybe you got involved with a cause and made a change in the world because of something that you learned about on CityCast Denver. Maybe you just found your new favorite bar. So if you call in. You can give us a call or send us an email. The phone number is 720-500-5418, or you can email us denver@citycast.fm. Let us know that you're a member or that you signed up, and leave us a voicemail and let us know your cool story about how CityCast Denver connected you to the city.
You know what 900 reminds me of is Tony Hawk.
Wow.
That was his famous trick, right? The 900 that he pulled off. He did 900 degrees of spinning.
That's crazy.
That was a big deal for me when it happened.
Well, maybe you can be the Tony Hawk of podcasts, Paul, and make 900 more episodes.
Call in, leave us a voicemail at the Tony Hawk hotline.
The Tony Hawk barbecue
A story
hotline.
of how we connected you with Denver. Let's get into these voicemails, though. We got a bunch of fun stuff to talk about.
What are we starting with?
All right, producer Olivia, can we hear the first one?
Hi, this is Alyssa from Wash Park. Dating in Denver is like a special level of hell that I never thought I'd have to go through. It's indescribable, honestly. The amount of people that I match with on apps and then are immediately like, nope, this is never going to happen is appalling. I was encouraged to hear about people who were on CityCast today about like their positive experiences. I wonder what they look like. I think for people who are not super thin Colorado fitness girlies have a tough time on the apps. And that's just my 2 cents. So thanks for the show today. Appreciate it. Bye.
Oh, this was really sweet. And it's totally a fair question, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right question. But isn't this all dating everywhere?
Yeah.
You know, like it's easier if you're really, really, really good looking.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Apps are not, that is just, it's about attraction and what you're looking for. But I can see where that could be heightened here in Colorado because there is this sort of underlying expectation about fitness involvement and outdoorsiness and things that people typically may see as Colorado attributes or like why they moved here or something. I mean, that's not familiar to me at all, but I know just from talking to people, it's really a common thing.
Same. I've never dated in Denver, except for my ex-girlfriend, now wife, Megan. So I don't have any experience, but I have always heard from people that on the apps, like you always see pictures of guys with big fish that they've caught or like, the trails that the 14ers they've bagged.
Or women doing yoga poses on mountains.
100%. I wonder if there's some pressure to conform to that, but like also to set yourself apart somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know how I would balance it if I was in that mix. Because it seems like people are doing that because it's popular and it works.
Yeah.
And then like you maybe reveal a little bit more about your own unique self in the process of seeing someone. But yeah, I just don't know. It does seem hard.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I also too, I dated in Denver. I mean, that's how I met my husband, but everybody I dated ever was in a band. So I didn't experience
there you go. You have a scene. You had a scene.
Yeah.
That probably helps.
It really,
a community to be a part of.
It really does. And I think that that's part of it too, is like finding your people, maybe the first step. And that can be a little bit harder when there is this hyper focus on the visual aspect of who you are. And it doesn't let you get to the deeper stuff. So I hope that she finds her people and maybe has a better chance of connecting with folks that maybe like the same things that she does or just have a different perspective. I don't know.
Yeah, if I had any advice, I would say meet the love of your life at college radio station where I did, because that really worked for me.
I mean, interviewing someone for a story that I was writing worked for me too. So go out and try that.
Let's have another one, Olivia.
Hi, firefighter here. Heard the comment today about city firefighter staff being bloated and wildland staff being shorted. One thing you guys failed to mention was that firefighters are also trained first responders medically and oftentimes are first in to helping people with medical issues. So they're not just driving around, sitting around the city waiting for a fire. Also, as soon as wildland fires get big enough, they receive federal funding, and all of these local municipal fire departments have deployable resources to help and go to assist in that. So just something to think about. Your local fire department's first in helping you and your family who are sick or hurt, not just sitting around, driving around, waiting for fires to happen. Thanks. Love the show, though. Bye.
Paul, this one's for you.
Yeah, this one is for me. I cannot believe that I said this in public. Can you imagine a more unpopular thing to say than, it seems like these firefighters are having it too easy?
Yeah, I mean, when you said it, I was equally shocked because I know having family in emergency medicine, and it's a really, really tough job. But I loved his point. They show up first. They're often there first.
Yeah.
So they are trained to do things that EMTs are also trained to do. And just deal with really stressful situations.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't want to besmirch like the work that firefighters do every day. It's incredibly difficult and brave, and I appreciate it. And my father-in-law was a volunteer firefighter for many, many years. And, I think that that's admirable what he did.
Job.
And he's got a lot of stories to share about how hard it was and how many people he helped. And I totally respect and appreciate that. That being said, this didn't come out of nowhere. I had a conversation with someone about this budget issue and like the role of fires in urban spaces. And then I had so that's what I was referencing when we talked about this. But then I went and I did some real research on this. And like, I think that this is something that we should be talking about more. And like, if anyone else wants to step forward and like try to have some courage to question our budget priorities here, let me just share some information that I found in an article from Time magazine. This is from 2021 about a conversation that's slowly been picking up in some fire departments around the country. Like specifically, like firefighters and fire chiefs are saying, we have more resources than we need. Because, and I'll just quote from this article here, there are 55% more career firefighters in the U.S. than there were in 1986, according to the National Fire Protection Association. But the number of home structure fires fell 54% over the same time period, due mostly to updated building codes and advanced sprinklers, according to NFPA data. So we have better technology in our buildings, so we have fewer fires. Mm-hmm. So you might say there's less need for firefighters, although the person who called in, again, thank you for calling in, pointed out firefighters provide emergency medical services, which is correct. However, firefighters are typically paid better than EMS providers like paramedics, about like $5,000 more on average here in Denver, I looked up.
It's a harder job to get too because of that, I think. I think it's easier to get in the EMT route.
Do you think?
I think so. I think from what I understand.
I don't know anything about that.
That it can be more competitive in cities. I'm just thinking about my sister's experience of like trying to go through this process, and an EMT just ended up being the job that she could get easier. But I mean, I'd be curious to hear from other folks how that works. But that is interesting about just like things improving and making it less likely. I mean, that's good. That's a safer world, right?
Absolutely. I think it's a great, it's a huge success story for our buildings and how we construct buildings in cities now. And then this article just goes into the fact that like our fire response, our whole model for it in cities is like really just 100 years old and hasn't been updated because people haven't wanted to have this conversation, except a few fire chiefs lately. There's one court case over this in Santa Clara County. I'll put the link in the show notes to this article if people are interested. I think it was fascinating. The only other thing that I'll note is just on the question of like fire suppression calls versus medical calls that firefighters respond to. I'll quote from the article. Of the 37 million calls fire departments received in 2019, this is across the whole country, almost 25 million were for medical aid. Just 1.3 million were for fires.
Interesting.
And again, we pay firefighters more than we pay paramedics. So we could have more paramedics and fewer firefighters and provide and serve the same needs.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about the shifting resources conversation when it comes to like the co-responder program or the STAR program, like beefing those programs up, like maybe shifting some of the funding and the training too, like maybe you get trained to do that, the mental, like working with a mental health clinician to respond to a mental health crisis call. Because I bet those are, I know that that need is much greater than the services can provide right now. And so
it's huge and growing, and it's very popular too. So like, we could have that conversation. Absolutely. I don't know. I just know there's some people that work for city council, work for the city who listen to this. I know they're about to go through the budget process again this year. And just one last note, the fire department's budget in Denver increased by 10.8% over 2023 this year.
Whoa. That's something to think about.
Just saying. We can move on.
This episode is brought to you by Choir League. Launched in Denver in September 2018, this social singing club is geared towards young professionals and meets once a week in a local bar, restaurant, or business for rehearsal and a happy hour. Choir League welcomes singers of all ability levels, so whether you only sing in your car or you have a music degree, you'll be right at home. The group performs every 8 weeks with flexible scheduling and a no-pressure environment. Sign up only for the concert cycles that fit your life. You don't even have to audition for Choir League. Truly, anyone is welcome to join. Think of it like your local kickball team, but for singing. They create a supportive environment with resources to help you stay on top of your singing game while having fun and making new friends. Choir League is also taking a trip to South Africa next year and would love for you to come along. For a list of performance dates and to register for the fall cycle starting at the end of August, visit choirleague.com. That's choirleague.com. This episode is brought to you by the Arvada Center. The Broadway smash Waitress the Musical comes to Colorado this fall. Featuring the music of Sarah Bareilles, this acclaimed work tells the story of a small-town diner waitress who leaves her rocky marriage to change her fate and future with her pie-making skills. And who doesn't like pie? The production features an all-local cast and all-woman creative team behind this sweet, sassy, and empowering feminist musical about a woman finding her way. The heartwarming story comes to life on stage as a celebration of friendship, chosen family, and the joys of a good pie. Waitress the Musical runs from August 30th through October 13th at the Arvada Center. For tickets and more information, visit arvadacenter.org. That's arvadacenter.org. This episode is brought to you by Denverse Magazine. Want to know more about the Mile High City's arts and culture scene from the actual artists themselves? Check out Denverse, a new magazine featuring poetry, fiction, and essays from Denver greats like Sam Tallent, Susie Q. Smith, Tom Murphy, and more. Denverse is an entirely independent, all-grassroots operation with no corporate backers. It's community-driven and locally focused. This magazine is also proud to be AI-free, meaning all the writing and art you see, read, and enjoy across its pages is made by real, local human artists. The next issue comes out this fall, and you can subscribe right now and get a physical copy sent right to your mailbox. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite activities of all time is to sit back and enjoy a cup of coffee with a gorgeous, well-written magazine in my hand. Read the latest issue and subscribe now by visiting denversemagazine.com. That's DENVERSE magazine.com. All right, what's next?
Hi, it's Josh from Centennial. Scooters, those things are no joke. At UMS, I had to get from Bandit Oak all the way up to Skylark to catch Wes Watkins, and I was really thankful to get on a scooter and ride up those cool Broadway bike lanes, and I made it in plenty of time. But the last few blocks, every time I'd come to a stop at an intersection, I'd hear a little screech behind me, and then right before getting to Skylark, I hear that screech, and then pow, the guy behind me hit me right in the ankle. I didn't want to miss the show. I don't even know how I would have dealt with it because, like, who's liable when you crash into someone on a scooter? Do the companies carry some kind of insurance or what? It really hurt, but I limped away and said, I'm fine. Got to see Wes Watkins, so all in all, it's a win. But, boy, was my ankle swollen after that. It's something else. Those things are fast and hard. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Well,
Ouch.
I'm glad you got into the show. I was at that show as well. The Wes Watkins show was packed out and there was a line around the block. So I'm glad you got there in time. But this is a great question, Paul. I think, who is liable and what do you do in that situation? It's not like you know, when you get in a car accident and you have insurance and you trade insurance, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know either. And I think it's a genuine concern the speed of it too, I think is a little bit scary, but he's demonstrating a couple of things here, which is how these can be really useful, right? He's, you know, the Underground Music Showcase spans a large swath of Broadway. And a lot of times you're like planning out who you can see based on when you can get there and how long it takes you to walk and how long the line's going to be and stuff like that. And so I can see where scooters could be really helpful, but then it comes down to also like, if something happens, who's liable? What do you do?
Yeah, good question. You know, I rode a scooter for the first time the other day.
What'd you think?
I said I was going to do it, and I finally did it. I made Megan drive me to one of the scooter icons on the map because there was none like within walking distance of my house. And then it turns out it wasn't there. I think it was just like inside someone's room at this like motel that we were at. And so I made her take me over to the Home Depot where I found one. And I totally get why people are having so many accidents now. These things are not easy to drive, and it is not clear where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, as a lifelong bike rider, like I'm pretty confident about where I need to be on the street to feel most safe. The scooters, they go 15 miles per hour. You're standing up straight, so it feels like you're like occupying a similar space as a pedestrian, but you're going almost as fast as cars.
Yeah.
So like I didn't really feel like it was appropriate for me to take up the same place I would as a bike. I didn't want to be in the whole lane where I sometimes would want to occupy some space to feel safer on a bike. And also just like mechanically, they're not very easy to use.
Really?
Like the way you have you've never ridden one, right?
I will never get on one. No.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It was not a fun experience, but the way you accelerate is this like thumb dial, and like mine was a little bit sticky, so I could either go full speed or I could go like a snail's pace. And it like when you went to full speed, it took a second for it to actually like for the scooter to register that I wanted it to go now, and so I wasn't sure like. Am I going? Am I stopping? Every stoplight, every stop sign was a challenge. These things, like, I just don't think they're built very well. I think if I was regulating this, I would look more at like the mechanics of these scooters and how functional they are, how easy to use they are, and maybe a little bit less about like geofencing, which I know they're talking about at City Council right now.
Yeah, I think you're right on with like the safety aspects of them and how they operate and the ease of that, but also I think the where within the infrastructure do they belong. And I've talked about this before, but when the way I got really comfortable riding my bike was riding with somebody else who showed me how to use the road. And you don't really have that opportunity necessarily with a scooter, but also
I wish I had it.
But also people don't even maybe know what they should be doing in the first place. And I think that that's part of the struggle is like, I don't like them for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that uncertainty, because sometimes you walk out of a store and someone whizzes by you on a scooter and they're on the sidewalk. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, I think that we've talked about it before. The rollout of these was haphazard, and now City Council is tasked with figuring out how to regulate and fix this like very multifaceted problem.
It's so challenging too, because I mean, I don't know if you read the piece from our friend Nate Miner from CPR about this, but he was saying that in San Diego, they did impose more regulations to like impose speed limits on scooters in certain downtown areas. And then shortly after that, the scooter companies were just like, nah, we don't need San Diego.
Yeah, and
they left. And so then San Diegans were deprived of this like last mile multimodal transportation option.
And that's not fair. And I think that that's part of the struggle with starting from a place where we're not at the same table, that the pedestrian, like the transit advocates, City Council, and these companies need to be at the same table to begin with, so that we aren't after, you know what I mean, after they've been introduced, trying to fix a problem and then seeing something like that happen, because that is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to rebuild trust after just dumping those scooters 6 years ago. That was just such a crappy thing to do.
It was a really terrible thing to do. Not fair.
Shall we take another one?
Let's do it.
Hello, CityCast. JD here from the Ice Cream Wars. I was gonna forgive and forget. You know, I was feeling gracious. I do think Ems has great ice cream. You know, I was going to accept the defeat of Little Man graciously, but as I was leaving the CityCast studios, what did I see in the back alley but an M's ice cream truck? Okay, this was a setup. I was set up from the beginning. I never had a fair shot. Little Man never had a fair shot. Okay, and I know you guys are taking ice cream bribes from M's. Okay, I know that the back of that truck must have been filled with all the best, not as much salted ice cream as you love, okay? Although I know you guys are probably just taking ice cream bribes from this moment. And if you don't want me to shout from the mountaintops that you guys are taking ice cream bribes. All right, you better give me some of that ice cream. Okay, I want at least 3 gallons of lemon. Okay.
All right.
That strawberry's pretty good. All right, I want a couple gallons of that.
Okay.
All right, and I need those every month. All right, I want 5 gallons every month for the rest of my life. All right, or I'm going to scream it from one of these 14ers you're always talking about on the podcast, okay? Thanks for having me on.
Paul, do you want to give some context to what our friend JD Lopez of the Left Hand Right Brain podcast is talking about?
Yeah, I think this is maybe my favorite voicemail we ever got. This is from our friend JD, who joined us on our ice cream battle. I think it was last year, and yeah, he's a big ice cream guy, and we picked M's ice cream as our favorite ice cream in Denver. He was upset, and so yeah, I mean, you heard what he had to say. No, we didn't take any ice cream bribes from M's.
But I do,
by the way,
I do love his passion for Little Man. I respect someone who has a passion for a local brand, and I respect that. So, thank you, JD, for your input. We still think M's was good. The best, but maybe Little Man we could rematch.
I do think we need to revisit this one because I've been back to M's and Little Man, and then I tried this new place, Right Cream, which is like a pandemic ice cream project. The guy who's running that new like cheap breakfast sandwich pop up on Saturday mornings. That place is awesome.
Is it?
They have such interesting flavors, like sweet corn, ube, Nutella, and they were all fantastic. The ice cream sandwiches had this like very distinctive square look that's so Instagrammable. Like check out their Instagram profile and then try not to go over there tonight. But that's a great ice cream shop. I think that might be the best in Denver.
Okay, rematch. We'll do a rematch. That's a good idea. Well, this was so much fun, Paul, and I loved hearing from all our listeners. This was great.
Yeah, this was great. 900 episodes. I mean, what a milestone.
Here's to 900 more.
Genuinely, I'm feeling very proud.
Yeah, it's a big accomplishment. And we appreciate you all who have been listening. And some of you we know have been listening from the beginning. So thank you so much for coming on this ride with us. And I hope you stay with us because we're going to do at least 900 more. We got it in us, for sure.
I think so, too.
Well, thanks, Paul.
See you next time, Bree.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell someone who doesn't listen to CityCast Denver yet about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.
Hey, this is Josh.